Hey everybody, welcome back to The Approved Cooking. So today I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to show you how to make apple crisp, which is pretty much like a lazy man's apple pie because you get all that delicious apple pie filling, but you don't have to go to all the effort of making a pie crust. It's kind of like a win-win situation, really. But I really like this recipe because of the simplicity of it, but it is just so delicious and just so good. But anyways, I think you'll really like it. So check out the video and let's get into it. Okay, so let's make some apple crisp. Now, you're obviously going to need apples in order to do so. That just makes sense. And really, you can use whatever kind of apples you like, but I'm going to use Granny Smith, and I would recommend you try using Granny Smith if you haven't before. I find that they hold up really well when you bake them. Like, they don't turn into mush, and their tartness really mellows out when you bake them with, a bunch of sugar and other spices. They really are a good baking apple. But regardless of what apples you do use, you're going to want to peel them all completely first. Back when I made my apple fritters, I took a lot of heat in the comments by not peeling my apples, so I've decided to peel them going forward. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to. They'll still taste fine. The peel just adds a little bit of extra crunch that you might not necessarily want. That's entirely up to you. But if you want to, peel your apples. From there, you're going to dice all your apples up into about half-inch cubes and throw them into a mixing bowl. Essentially, we're going to be making an apple pie filling without the actual apple pie, like I said in the intro. So just dice them all up and throw them into the bowl. There we go. That's quite a lot of apples, but you need a lot of apples for this recipe. And once they're all in the bowl, it's time to throw a little bit of lemon juice on top to keep the apple chunks from browning, because they will brown pretty quickly. So cut a lemon in half, use the juice of half a lemon, squeeze it all over the top of it, and then what I'll do is just give it a rough mix with my hands just to make sure that the lemon juice coats all of it. From there, it's time to start adding in your sugar and spices, starting off with 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Pour that in. 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Next in is a teaspoon of ground ginger. I like to add a little bit of ginger just to give the filling a little bite. Then a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, and about a tablespoon of freshly ground nutmeg, or just the powdered stuff. If that's all you have, it works fine as well. Next in is a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, because this is going to help everything thicken up when you bake it. From there, it's pretty straightforward. Just start mixing this all together, either with like a spoon or your bare hands. Honestly, it's easier to mix it all with your bare hands. The downside is your hands get completely sloppy, messy like that, so maybe give them a wash. Oh, and there's Rose trying to get in and try it. That's too funny. But anyways, then get yourself a 13 by 9 inch baking pan and pour all the apples into it. Look at how good they look already. Nice and juicy and sweet and sticky. I can't wait to bake this. Oh, and there's Rose again. She wants to try a piece of apple. Anyways, so spread those all out so that they're nice, even spread in the pan. And then we're going to set this aside for a moment so that we can make the topping for this apple crisp. So get yourself another mixing bowl, and then you're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Pour that into the bowl. Then add in 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. And then you're going to add in 1 cup of the oats of your choosing. I just used Quaker instant oats. Those worked fine. Next in is a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. And then you're going to mix this all together quickly. Make sure to break up any chunks of the brown sugar in case yours is clumped up. And then add in a 1/2 cup of melted unsalted butter, and then just start stirring this around. Now you can mix it with a spoon, but I find it's easier to just get in with your hands and mix it all together, breaking up any large clumps. You want this to be kind of like a wet sand consistency. You can see that, so if you squeeze it, it'll stick together, but it breaks apart pretty easily. Like I said, like a wet sand. But anyways, from there, go get your apples back, and then it's time to start adding this topping on top. So just get your hands in there and start sprinkling it all over top. You want to make sure that it's nice and evenly coated. You don't really want any exposed apple anywhere. So just make sure it's nice and evenly coated, and then from there, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to bake this from anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes, depending on the efficiency of your oven. And it should come out looking something like this, which it doesn't look too much different than when you put it in, but some of the filling should have bubbled up along the sides or in through the top topping. But you can tell that it's done that if you touch the top, it's nice and crisp. Now, granted, it's very hot, so be careful doing that. But that's how you tell it's done. It's nice and crisp, and some of the filling will bubble up through. I'm going to let it cool down for a little bit before I test it out. You know, typically I'd let it cool down for 10 to 15 minutes. But now it's time to dig in and try this. I am pumped. I'm pumped to try this. It smells really, really nicely. Like, it just brings like a nice spicy apple smell to your entire house. It honestly smells amazing. So I'm going to scoop myself out a little bit here. Put it into my nice little bowl here. You know what? One more scoop. I don't think you can have too much of this. And let me give you a quick close-up shot here. You can see it. Look at how nice and gooey and delicious that looks. Nice and sweet and sticky. Oh man, I can't even begin to describe how just amazing it smells. But let's go in for the taste test. But first, we're going to add in a scoop of vanilla ice cream. That usually goes with apple crisp. I think that's pretty straightforward. Like, you don't have to add the ice cream, obviously, but it obviously complements the flavor and just enhances the entire apple crisp experience. Look at how gorgeous that is. So let's go in for a taste test here. And oh yes, that is very good. It is so sweet. And it's like I said, when you add that ginger in, it gives it just a nice little spicy bite. Like, it's not overpowering. The ginger is certainly not, like, it's not really strong flavor. Obviously the strong flavors are the apples and the cinnamon, and it's just so sweet and delicious. But that ginger does give it a nice little, just a tiny little bite, and you should add it in. You should try it. I think you'll like it. But let me tell you, this was so easy, and it took no time at all, and it's just an awesome dessert that you can slap together at any point in time. It is so good, and I think you'd really like this, so you should give it a try. But anyways, that is the end of the episode. If you like what you saw here, why don't you drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Idiot Proof Cooking. We'll see you again soon.